Okay, one more thing. We're gonna learn how to write an equation given 2 points. Oops, writing equations given 2 points. So in this case, you're gonna do, it's not that different from what you just did. It's just we're gonna add a step on the front, which is we don't have the slope yet, but we know how to find the slope if we have 2 points, right? So remember, this is like an x and a y, and this is an x and a y, and we just need to figure out the slope is the change in x, sorry, the change in y over the change in x. So let's see. This is 1, -3. This is -3, 1. So let's see. What's the change from 1 to -3? What do I have to do to get from 1 to -3? Well, I'd have to go down 4 to subtract 4. How about to get from -3 to 1? Well, I'd have to add 4. So the change in y is 4. The change in x is -4. 4 divided by -4 is -1. So what that means is this is my slope, right? That's my m. And then I can actually just pick either of these 2 points. It doesn't matter which one I pick. I will just pick this one, right? And you could pick the other one if you want. If you want to challenge yourself and see if you get the same answer, you should. So this is my x1, y1. This is my slope. So I'm going to just rewrite my point slope form. I'm a visual person, so I like having it at the top of the page. It's probably going to be helpful for you too, to rewrite it. So I'm going to plug in, I have y minus y1 equals, oops, I just wrote m, which is -1, x, and then minus x1, it's minus -3. So I notice that double negative becomes a plus. And now I'm ready to distribute. Bring down y minus 1. -1 times x is -1x, or you could just write negative x like this, that's fine. And -1 times +3 is -3. Add 1 on both sides. Y equals -x, -3 plus 1 is -2. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to do one more, and then it's going to be your turn. So first, I need the slope, right? I don't have a slope yet, so find the change in y and change in x. This is 4, 0, and 0, 5. And so the change from 4 to 0 is down 4. Change from 0 to 5 is up 5. So my change in y over change in x. And I'm going to write that at the top too. Remember, it's change in y over change in x. It's really common to mix them up. That's the most common mistake I've noticed, is you putting x on top, so just be careful. So y is 5, and x is -4. And when I simplify this, like if one of them, if they're both negative, then it's negative divided by negative, it's positive. But if one of them is negative, it's just, the answer is negative. So this is -5/4, right? That's your slope. Okay, that's your m. And so now I'm going to pick one of these points. And here's the thing, right? I'm going to think ahead for a second. This number, all that happens to this number, is it just like gets added or subtracted, right? Whereas this number, it gets multiplied. So I can use either of these points. Either of them are totally fine. And you can feel free to always just like pick a different one from me and try it. But I'm thinking like, I'm going to have to multiply by a fraction. Which number would I rather multiply? 4 or 0, right? Or 4 or 0 are my two choices for x. So I'm going to choose this point. I'm going to choose this as x1, y1. Okay, and I think you'll see why that's going to be a little bit easier than choosing the other point, but the other point is totally fine. It will work. It'll absolutely work. So this is y minus 5 equals m, and this is x minus 0. Okay, so when I go to distribute, y minus 5 equals -5/4 times 0. Anything times 0 is just 0. So I don't have to do that. I just get over here, -5/4 x, right? So it's nice to have a 0 here. It just like saves me a little bit of work. It's not the end of the world. If I had chosen 4, 0, there would have been a 0 here, which would have saved me the next step. And then I would have just had to do -5/4 times 4, which is not a big deal. I would have, and if you want to try that, -5/4 times -4 would be 5, right? Be positive 5. And you notice that, right, now I'm going to do this last step. and I'm going to add that 5. So this is y equals negative 5/4 x, and I'm adding 5. And really I'm like adding the 5 to the 0, right? But I don't even write the 0, it doesn't make sense. So there it is. Okay, now you're going to do it. So these are more, there's more to do. You have to find the slope first, right? That's the first step. Then plug in, second step, then convert it. So, but basically once you find the slope, it's just like what you did on the previous page.